TikTok, it's time to rock, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sunday show, the British Electric Blues show. It's the first show we've got planned today, and it's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome back to us, if you're familiar with the channel, Curtis, Jeff, legendary Loventhal, and Bob. How are you, gentlemen?
Good morning to you, Andrew.
Thank you. How are you?
Good morning, good evening where you guys are. Bob, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you guys. We just had some technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, before the show. So we're going to get Jeff to say hi now while we know that his mic is working.
Go for it, Jeff.
Jeff.
Hi now. How's that?
Nothing.
Did you get that?
We'll take that. We'll take it. We'll take that, Bob.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. The first thing I'd like to say is a shout out to Richard Orlando, who's not feeling well, who wrote the 3-volume book on Peter Green, Love That Burns, which is available on Kindle or print. And I'll tell you, it's a bargain. And if anybody's into Fleetwood Mac and Peter Green, it's a must. It's a 15-year labor of love.
Absolutely, 100%. And if anybody is watching, I will include a link to that while we're talking. And certainly, Bob, I'll attach a link where people can go and buy that. And we were fortunate enough, weren't we, not so long ago, Bob, to host Richard on the channel here. And we had a great time with him. And we do look forward to catching up with him end of next month, Bob. So thank you for that, Bob.
Absolutely, absolutely. And our book was released worldwide just the other weekend, so now it's available all over the place. Of course, if you're in New Zealand, it'll be in customs for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. Well. That's because there's really, really good information in here, and they have to make sure they're going through every page, gentlemen, to make sure that there are no pictures of who. Who were we talking about before the show?
Stevie Nicks. But we have to shout out that it's almost 50 years since Rumors. So 46 years, right, Andrew?
46 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, today.
It's almost as long as I've known Chris and Curtis.
Wow.
That's true.
Wow.
And Chris Herman is new to your channel, Andrew. So we want to make him feel welcome. He's a guitarist extraordinaire, and he's part of the Blues Crusaders, who are playing with us on February 12th at Space in Evanston. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, as they say.
And along Curtis and Chris and I have known each other, and we've been in different bands together since teenage years. And Chris and Curtis are part of the Blues Crusaders, along with Chris's brother Rob, a drummer from Hedgehog and the Fox, Chris Avgeron, and we'll also be playing with brother John Cattell and Dave Spector, who's been 35 years in the blues business in Chicago, at his venue in Space in Evanston, Illinois. Week from this Sunday.
Thank you for mentioning that, Bob. And what we'll also do, ladies and gentlemen, after this show, I'll get Chris to send me all the links that he has for those groups and bands that he's with. If you want to go and follow Chris and see what else he's doing on social media. Can you do that for us, Chris, at the end of the show? I'll be grateful.
That's young Chris, as we call it. We will post all the links, though. Bob here will do it for us.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
the drummer's name is Chris, so we call him Young Chris.
Young Chris. Oh my gosh.
Chris Herman is the elder Chris.
Yeah, it's the elder.
And Jeff, I don't know. I think we talked about it last time, but New City, which is a Chicago magazine, did a cover story, on Jeff, using his photo, one of his photos of Lenny Bruce. And
Wow.
This is available online. We'll supply you the link with this too. It's an 11-page spread on the history of legendary Lowenthal.
That's a great photo. I love that photo.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah.
Jeff, can we get a
Yeah.
copy of that photo?
One thing we haven't discussed is with Jeff. I know we always discuss the Fleetwood Mac, but Jeff has quite a repertoire in his photo journal of people that he's taken pictures of. Jeff, why don't you tell us some of your jazz photos? Uh-oh. Can't hear you again. Oh, no.
We've lost audio.
Lost Jeff.
We can read lips, though.
No,
Okay.
let's move on to something
what
else.
I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, I'll drop them out of the stream, if that's okay, until we get some audio up. So I'll just drop them out, and we can send them a message and let them know that we don't have any audio. And we'll come back to Jeff. Bob, what do you reckon?
Yeah, let me give him a call. So why don't you and Andrew and Chris and Curtis can talk guitars. I will going to call Jeff real quick.
Okay, no problem. While he's doing that, Curtis, I'm going to do a quick couple of shout-outs, some really, really important shout-outs. We have Amy here in the chat. She's one of the moderators on our Peter Green, All Things Peter Green Facebook group. She's met and caught up with Bob and Jeff at their book signing, and she's going to be at your gig, I understand. So Amy
great.
will be there. And also another very good friend of the channel, another Fleetwood Mac nut, Christopher Conklin, is here with us as well. So, hey, Chris, thank you for joining us, brother. You're fantastic. And my gosh, here he is. Brad Cook is here. Good to see you, brother.
Brad, he's here.
Fantastic. Good to see you. So while these guys are getting their tech stuff sorted out, I'm going to let you kick off, Curtis, telling us a little bit about the behind-the-scenes stuff that you've been doing for this rehearsal for your gig.
And Curtis, you should show the guitar and tell, you can bust the myth about the Peter Green guitar. You'd be doing the world a favor.
But the myth? You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, brother.
Well, first of all I've been doing the past few weeks is kind of going through and charting out every song to see how we will play them, or we can play them depending on who's playing on what song. Because we sort of have people coming in and out. Dave Spector will play on certain songs. Brother John Katke will play on certain songs. We will, and we'll have a couple different singers. I know Dave's going to sing, and then Ricky Liontones will be singing on some of the songs. So we've kind of been trying to put together a set list that makes sense and how to juggle people in and out and that type of thing. And we did that last week. So I've just been going through and making sure we have every chord, every change, who's doing what, and we get to actually do that for the first time tomorrow to really work through everything. And if we have time, we can run through both sets, but we'll see. So that will be fun.
And we're also going to do some of the Kerwin, forward songs like Sunny Side of Heaven and One Sunny Day and Tell Me from Kiln House. That's going to be, so it's not going to be totally Peter Green. There's going to be some cool Danny Kerwin stuff in there too. I've been working on my vibrato to get it to be energetic enough.
Channeling your inner Kerwin.
Yeah, and some songs are vocals and some obviously are instrumental. So that's fun to try and figure out who does what backing part and what harmonies and that sort of thing.
I think,
So-
Amy, you just got a sneak peek at the set list. We got to keep some secrets.
Oh, that's right, Chris. You can't do that.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
can't do that. Can I tell them what song we're going to end with to send people out into the school
No.
night?
Yeah, here, Amy. Here's the set list. So there it was. Yeah, we're at, that's what we can tell you is we're actually doing 2 sets. We'll do a set. I can say this of 7 songs. We'll take a break. Bob can talk about what's going to go on then, and then we'll come back and do another set of another 6 tunes, I believe, and so that should be enough.
Yeah, it's going to be a good potpourri of songs. Jeff and I will talk in the beginning a little bit because Dave wants us to talk, so we might take some questions and answers from the audience. And as far as the break between bands before Dave comes on, we're going to play a little snippet of a Mike Vernon interview that we played at the VIP event at Chess.
Wow.
Tell the audience who Mike Vernon is, just in
Oh,
case they don't know.
Good point. Thank you, Chris. Mike Vernon is the producer of Fleetwood Mac in Chicago and all the early Fleetwood Mac albums, as well as the Beano album with Clapton, Savoy Brown. He
Hocus
produced
Pocus.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus. As Mike Vernon said, as long as Hocus Pocus keeps selling, he's good.
Wow.
So he's quite a prolific producer, and we're very lucky to have him do the forward of the book, as well as Mike Freeman, friend of ours, interviewed him for the event. So we're going to cut down the interview that we had, which is about 30 minutes, and we're cutting it down to about 15, 20 minutes in between bands.
Hey, Bob, I got a surprise question for you. There's another interview with Marshall Chess, and the guy is absolutely hilarious and cool. And, he's got stories about driving Brian Jones around in his Porsche in Chicago. You should put a link out there so people can see that, because I know there's not enough time to show it. It would be super cool. That's a
good idea. And I bet you that's the guy that came over to the VIP event, Chris.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he runs the channel. I forgot his name. He's from England.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do that because Andrew, you would love it. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
The Marshall Chess interview is basically you put a diamond in him and let him go. He's quite animated, and as Chris is alluding to, extremely entertaining.
Yeah, great stories.
He has great stories. And and he bought a Porsche like Curtis did. We all know the Curtis Porsche story.
We're not telling that story this time.
Can we hear Jeff?
Are you back? Jeff
Jeff,
back?
are you back? Nope.
Not yet.
Nope.
Not yet.
I guess you get your chalkboard.
Okay.
Chris, do you have any of your guitars behind you, like the Vox guitars or something? I think Andrew would like to see those.
Yeah. Excuse me, I'll step away for a second and come back.
Yeah, I thought we
Thank
could.
you.
I thought we could talk, Bob, briefly about what guitars we're going to play at the show and possibly what amps we're going to play through.
Well,
Here's
I think
another cool
Fantastic.
Hamer. This is a Super Pro. It's hard to figure out where the camera is so you can see this thing. Trying to get it into the
you're
front.
getting there.
Okay.
Very nice.
And let me get the Vox because you're just going to love that one. It's so excessive.
Curtis, why don't you talk about the guitar that you borrowed from Pete Flynn?
Yes, I will. First of all, what I was going to say is I'll probably have only play. Wait a second.
Hang on, Chris.
Wait, go ahead. Go ahead. Show us, Chris.
Okay.
Show the Vox.
Hold it up.
Look at that. Are you going to be playing that guitar for any song?
I was going to do it just to bug you, Curtis. Because I know you just flip out because it's not a period perfect instrument. When I showed that to Gary Gand, who I used to play with, he said, "What planet do you gig on?"
Funny.
One of those you made into a sitar, didn't you, Chris?
Yes, I have a a black teardrop one that I had somebody put a sitar bridge on. It's fantastic.
Wow.
I love the sound.
What amps are we going to play through? Do you, whatever they have, or what are you thinking, Chris?
I think whatever they have. I have a cool. I know you've got. Why don't you, Curtis? Why don't you show the Marshall if you can?
Well, I'm not going to show it because it's really heavy and it's facing the wrong way. But
okay.
I will have the. If I can get it there, that's the main thing. There, I have the Blues Breaker amp, but if I can get it down the stairs, if I can have anyone help me do that, and then load it into the car and get there, because it's like 80 pounds. It's ridiculous. I can't lift that stuff anymore.
So for the viewers, this is a perfect reproduction of the amp that Eric Clapton used on the Blues Breakers Beano album, with the unbelievable sound.
One of 50 in the world. They only made 50. So,
yeah.
But if I can get it there,
Curtis,
I've been practicing. I was actually practicing with it this week. So really nice sound. But the thing is loud as heck. I mean, you definitely don't need to have 30 watts cranked up.
Well, the problem is too, Curtis, if you bring it to the venue space, I don't know that it will get out of space.
Well, I'll have it handcuffed to my right hand, I guess.
All right.
So, but yeah, if I don't get that there, or even if I do, probably whatever they have, if they have some twin reverbs or super reverbs or something, whatever
I think they do, yeah.
Whatever their backline will do, something like that.
And that's the stuff that they played on in the session. That's
right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, Chris.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have the Les Paul there, Curtis?
I do, but I'm not going to show it to you, Bob.
I've seen it, Curtis.
No, okay.
Hey, Brad. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for jumping in.
Hey, Brad.
You can lift
Happy
this
New
thing
Year.
up. Here's the guitar.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, sure. As soon as Brad comes on, he shows the guitar.
It's really cool. Back, you can see it's all aged, and I can't talk much about it because it's not mine. I don't know.
Slim taper neck?
Huh?
Slim taper neck?
It's a 58 neck. It's actually a recreation of.
Those are the bigger necks, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit fatter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice. I forget which recreation this is. Who was the guitar player? Slips my mind right now. But it's owned by Pete Flynn, who's a good friend of ours up at Music Gallery in Highwood, and he works on all my guitars. Whenever I have stuff, I take him. And
what is he known for, Curtis? He's known for making his own pickups, correct?
Yeah, I was going to say that. So I was up there one day, and he wanted to show me this thing, and he wouldn't sell it to me, unfortunately. But he actually makes pickups. So he makes these incredible cream coil or white coil, black, white, whatever you want, humbucking pickups. He makes single pickups, and they're probably the best sounding pickup I've ever heard.
Wow.
I compare that to my original Sunburst and other Les Pauls that I've had. They're just really incredible. So he's really amazing. So he was nice enough to loan me this guitar, and he actually reversed the magnet in the neck pickup and the whole thing, the out of phase, so I can get all those different Peter Green sounds. Very, very authentic. So it's really amazing. It's a lot of fun to play.
So did he flip that magnet for you for this gig? Otherwise, it would normally be not flipped.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
He said, yeah, I'll do that for you. And I told him what strings I want on it, and he did all that. And then I went and got the guitar, and I can't believe he did that, but he's really a great guy. So he'll be at the show. So all you people out there, you've got to meet Pete Flynn. And I used to buy guitars from him years ago. They had he and his brother had Flynn Music in Evanston. I bought a number of guitars from those guys over the years.
He just brought it up to make you jealous, Brad. That's all.
And he's a great player too. He plays in a
yeah, wipe your mouth.
Yeah, he has a cool band.
Yeah, he plays in a I think a Tom Petty tribute type of band with, does all the Mike Campbell stuff and everything. He's got a lot of good vintage guitars and stuff. So he's a great player. So anyway, this guitar, I think I will definitely play the first set. It depends, if I have to switch guitars, there are a couple songs I wanted to switch for the sound for Dave Spector. So I'll probably play my
Strat.
Yeah, if I can get it. I don't know. It's over here. I think I've shown you this before. Got my Strat. Or I can get it into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
So I'll probably be playing that for the second set or most of it, depending, because a lot of these songs need kind of a cleaner, with more of an attack sound.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see. I still have to figure that out when we do maybe tomorrow when we kind of try and if we run through a whole set, see what guitar works best.
The other thing that's going to happen that night is, aside from we'll be recording it, we'll be also having a 2-camera video shoot.
Wow.
So it will be done for posterity.
It's 3D too, right? We have to have 3D glasses.
Yeah, the band will be in 3D. Yes.
Yeah, great, fantastic.
And we're
Hey,
very
Brad, how you doing? Good to
I'm
see
good,
you,
gentlemen.
Brad.
I'm good. I'm drooling. You know, two of my favorite guitars. So yeah, they're beautiful. Absolutely.
Hey, Chris, hold up a couple of your guitars if you still have them for Brad, because I'm sure he'd like to see them too. Chris,
Yeah.
Okay, let me do that.
how you feeling, Brad? Are you doing well?
I'm doing great. Gentlemen.
Didn't you just play a show? I think I just saw something. You just played a show? Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's one of Chris's guitars, Brad.
Oh wow.
Focus.
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh yes, lovely.
Is that a Mossrite?
I love the color.
Yeah, he's got some kind of crazy colored guitars.
Yeah. Look like foam green or something. Oh
There
yes.
you go.
Oh, that's delicious. What a top. Beautiful.
Yeah, they're all Hamers, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Cool.
This last one was it's a Vox Bulldog, which back in the days when they had a catalog, a Vox catalog was a giant fold-out piece of paper, if anybody remembers those. And I always thought the Bulldog was such a cool guitar. So I found an old body. It was in Germany or something, and it didn't have any of the parts on it. So I bought it, and then I had it, modern parts put on it, like Barden pickups and a really cool Bigsby and everything, and spurts on
And it's hysterical watching Chris Herman try to use a Bigsby.
Yeah, I'm kind of a whamophobe. So it's like, what is this thing?
Because I got to say that Chris Herman has a very Danny Kerwin-like vibrato.
Okay. Yeah.
So he'll be channeling his inner Danny Kerwin at their event.
That's right.
Yeah, some of those Mossrite guitars are quite interesting because it gives me that rapier vibe that Danny had, didn't he, early on when he joined Fleetwood Mac? You know, he had a relatively inexpensive guitar at the time in the UK. Still pretty expensive for people, but compared to some of the Fenders and Les Pauls and Gibsons in the UK at the time, affordable. But boy, it didn't matter because we've got that famous clip, haven't we, of him rehearsing
One Sunny Day.
with and he's
fantastic.
playing it acoustically, and that clip's on this channel. It's one of the highest viewing videos we've got, and people are just amazed by it, Chris, aren't they?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and you think about it too, and you might hear that song at the event.
Oh,
Wow.
you will.
Now, wait a second. You're not supposed to tell that. Let me check the set list and see if we're really playing that.
Well, you didn't show him the second set list is Inagata Davida.
That's the third set. Those are the encores.
That's the encore. When you think about it, with One Sunny Day with that video, first of all, that it was, you know, a French documentary back in the 60s that they filmed it, let alone filmed it with audio. And that he's playing it unplugged and he's teaching it to Peter Green, and he's probably 16.
That's unbelievable.
Which means he probably wrote it when he was 14 or 15.
The guitar sounded good acoustically. You know, I'm amazed he got the resonance out of that thing.
Well, that's how you can tell you have a good guitar.
Right. Yeah.
They should sound. They should have the exact same sound acoustically.
Mm-hmm.
I always believe that. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which is one of the great things that people noticed about Peter Green's playing is just by varying the volume, you know, he can go from sounding virtually like an acoustic guitar to, you know, something that's pretty overdriven.
Yeah.
That's
especially on the World Turning, that black and white video, right, Chris? It gets like 3-4 tones, you know, in a 3-minute song.
Well, that's the fun thing about playing this Les Paul that I'm borrowing is dialing in the different sounds. You know, if you in the middle position and you're getting the out of phase sound, and then if you cut down the bridge pickup volume just a notch or two, then it changes it to something else, which is equally great but different. And then but you pull the volume off just a little bit, so it's fun to kind of play around with it, and hopefully I can remember how to do that when we're playing.
Somebody mentioned here the Rapier has been reissued by Alan Entwistle. I've seen Entwistle guitars on Facebook. They look pretty cool.
Wait, say that again? Say that again, Chris?
Somebody here, Hugh Caldwell, says the Rapier has been reissued by Alan Entwistle.
Okay.
Have you seen the Entwistle guitars on Facebook? They're kind of cool.
I have not.
Are you familiar with those, Brad?
No, I haven't seen them. No, I haven't. I haven't seen them in the flesh anyway. I've never seen them in the flesh.
Well, it's a shame you guys can't come over. I'm sorry that Simon's not here too, because I understand that Wallace and Gromit have a new movie coming out, and I wanted to ask him about it.
No, and I can confirm we definitely are doing One Sunny Day here. I won't tell you where in the set, but
we're going to do it backwards.
You might hear it right away. I don't know. And hey, do you want me to use the wah on that, Chris, or not?
On One Sunny Day?
It works really well.
Really?
Oh, that's what we should talk about. How about effects?
Okay.
What are you going to do? Because obviously a lot of, you know, the early stuff, Peter Green, Danny Kerwin, they're pretty much playing straight through into the amps. But are you there, Chris?
Maybe with a wah-wah.
I looked at my pedal board because you mentioned effects. I've got something called a Robo Talk, which is sort of an envelope follower for those who know that kind of stuff. And it's sort of a wah effect, auto wah, so I can get some of that stuff too. So we can, tomorrow when we rehearse, we can see what works well. I was going to do it for Tell Me, because there's a lot of, you know, middle position wah sort of tones, but very vocal in that song.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else are you going to be using? Anything on your pedal board?
Just a little overdrive. That's about it. Not much. Not much.
Okay. I'll have the.
Is that a Vox wah?
I'll use the Clyde McCoy wah pedal, and let's see. Oh, my reverb, the Strymon Blue Sky, and Octonaut Hyperdrive, in case I need a little bit of a boost.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I want to say on the channel today that I checked with Richard Orlando because of the Blues Crusaders and the most popular Fleetwood Mac song, Albatross. And I wanted to definitively tell these guys that Jeremy Spencer is not on that track.
I can tell.
People think he is. Is it because it's a video or something?
Exactly correct, Chris.
Yeah,
it's because there's a video that he's playing a Flying V, and it's a lip sync, it's an instrumental, but they're not even plugged in.
Right.
So it was, it's just that, it's just a video, but the part where people think it's Jeremy Spencer is like what you're doing on guitar. It's Kerwin, and it's not a slide. He had a vibrato that you thought it was a slide.
Yeah, he's amazingly subtle. I'm going back and listening to those parts, the way he gets emotion out of the instrument. It's to musicians, you'll know what I'm talking about. The bending up to a note has a better kind of emotional feel than sliding up to a note. So when you're listening to Kerwin play, you can hear those subtleties. And if you want to kind of get his, vibe, you got to do the same thing. But it's very interesting because it's not necessarily intuitive, but it's very effective.
Absolutely.
That's one thing that you had mentioned too, that Dave Spector really likes about Peter Green, is that his ability to play really softly and then all of a sudden use feedback and use the volume like he does on Shrine. Matter of fact, I played Shrine for the first time many years ago to Chris Herman, Rolling Man, which I'm sure Andrew and Brad, you've heard. I know Curtis has. And Chris was so taken with it, like so many guitarists are, that don't make me sound like this.
Right.
By the way, just a quick question. Is Jeff definitively not going to be audible?
I don't know. Jeff, can we hear you? Guess not.
That's so sad.
Oh, well.
Wait, we're doing that song too. You're telling the whole set list. What are you doing? Yeah, let's try and talk throughout the whole interview here and somehow intersperse the titles of the songs.
Yeah.
Without actually saying.
Tell me all the things you do.
And then they'll know all the songs we're doing if they follow along. Everyone can do their homework, Anyway.
Yeah. Too funny. Yeah, and I have to say too, we're very fortunate that Dave Spector, who's been on the blues scene for over 35 years as a Delmark recording artist, is so into this. It's just, we're very blessed to have him. He's a part owner of Space, but he's also very big in the Chicago blues scene.
Oh yeah,
and
Space is a great venue too. It really is very nice. It's kind of, not too small, not too big. It's just a great size venue. Really cool in Evanston. And there's I guess, are they opening up another one like behind it or something? Or are they going to have
They bought the lot to the south.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to expand it. There's a restaurant in front of Space too.
Right.
So yeah, it's a great venue. And by the way, tickets are still available. And right now, I think we're at about 75% capacity.
Well, I got to get my tickets.
I barred you at the door.
Andrew and I got our tickets. We're flying over.
Well, we do have people coming in for it, such as Amy, and thank you, Amy. Richard was going to come in, except now he has oral surgery. So we will have some infamous people there.
Brad, if you fly over, we'll guarantee you can be on stage and join us.
That would be amazing.
But you have to play banjo.
Oh, look at that row of Marshalls behind. Is that what I'm looking at, Brad? Behind you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Chris doesn't know. Brad's in Australia, Chris.
Yeah, I'm in Australia.
Right.
So they're my Marshalls.
Fantastic.
And my Les Paul. That's my main Les Paul.
You've got a Strat too, right?
Yeah, I got a few actually.
Okay.
I've got a few Les Pauls, but this is my main one.
Nice.
Oh, pretty.
Very nice. You can see the grain when you hold it up like that.
Yep.
And I've got push pulls.
Oh, okay. For what are you doing? Series parallel, or what are you doing?
Yeah, they're for push pull for tapping the neck and the bridge pickups.
Okay.
Or tapping. I've But I find when you do that, you can get some really, really cool tones. Say you coil tap the neck, for example, and you go in the middle position and roll the bridge pickup back a little bit. You get some really beautiful tones.
Yeah.
But I record most of my Les Paul tones for my recordings and stuff like that with this guitar. It just seems to come up sounding amazing with this. For some reason, this guitar's got mojo. So
I don't envy you carrying those Marshalls around, though.
I know. Look, the smaller gigs, I take the head, this one, and I use an Albury twin speaker box, which is behind me somewhere here.
Oh, okay, nice.
So for smaller gigs, and then larger gigs, obviously I use probably. I'm trying to point the right way.
Something over there.
One.
It's a half stack.
I use this one most of the time.
Right.
Yeah. So
Have
the
you
greenbacks.
played outside of Australia, Brad?
No, I haven't actually. No.
Oh.
No.
So you should come over. We'll have another
yeah,
jam. You and Andrew can come in.
You know, if I get the opportunity to record some more this year and release something, I might just do that. Maybe it's still a bit of a run overseas and come and see you guys and hang out.
Please.
Fantastic.
It'd be
awesome.
fun to do something like that and maybe do a couple gigs, you know. It'd be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just love to come watch you guys play. That would be fun.
Well, hopefully we'll have a video of it. The two people that are going to film it are professional filmographers. Chris knows both of them. One of them lives with me. And I'm going to record off the soundboard. But what I do, and Andrew and Brad, you can appreciate this, is we'll use the camera audio, but I'll mix it with the board audio, because if you just use the board audio, it sounds completely, utterly sterile.
Yeah.
So I kind of mix the two, which we've done before. And I will warn you, Andrew and Brad, and your audience, that I will send links to Chris Herman's and our music, but it is totally not the blues. Matter of fact, it's, I'll make Chris cringe. He's compared to a guitarist that he appreciates but is not a fan of, is Frank Zappa, and the band's been compared to Rush and things like that. But it's instrumental, and I can tell you, when we did it, 5 years ago, Chris?
Something like that.
Michael Freeman helped me produce it, and it did go to the Grammys as best instrumental and best production. Now, I can tell you, I think with the Grammys, it goes through 10 judges. We made it through 2. And as I told Chris and the rest of the band, hey, Brian Eno had to listen to our stuff. I'm good.
That's unbelievable. Well done.
That is unbelievable.
Although
Matter of fact, one of the songs on it, Chris and Curtis used to do in high school.
Oh, wow.
Called British Rock.
Oh, wow.
Well, we used to play a lot of blues stuff. A lot of blues breakers were there, Clapton and things like that. So we were fans of all sorts of stuff like that.
In fact, we were going to start the show with a song called Little Girl off of the Beano album, which is such a dynamic song. And it's also, the guitar solo on it is so, I hate to use the word, but iconic, that Curtis and I were going to play it in unison because it's so good.
Yeah, because we used to do it that way years ago. It sounds really great. But we have enough songs, so we decided to kind of nix that. We rehearsed it, but we'll nix that one because I think we have plenty of songs. So.
Yeah, it's off theme.
if we were doing 3 or 4 sets, we could throw in all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that was probably. We will send off the audience with a very calming school night song, as Chris calls it. And everybody will be on stage for that one, including 3 guitars. Just like some band called Fleetwood Mac. Who, I'll ask this to the group.
The only thing I'm going to say,
I think Fleetwood Mac was the first band to have 3 guitarists ever. I can't think of another one before 1968.
Probably Leonard Skinner or somebody.
I thought you were going to say the Kingston Trio. Or...
Yeah, they all play guitar.
But I think they were the first band with 3 guitarists, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll give you a little clue. That song that Bob's talking about that we're going to end with is in E, but that's all I'll say.
It involves a bird.
It involves a bird. And it's going to go on for 2.5 hours.
There's an E major seventh chord prominently played in it. So anyway.
So I'm sorry, Jeff's having problems with his mic, but I'll have to work it out because later tonight, excuse me, we'll be on WGN Radio, which is a Clear Channel radio station, with Steve and Johnny at 10 o'clock Chicago time tonight for about 40 minutes off and on. They do play some Fleetwood Mac music with us. And Jeff and I are excited about that because it's a Clear Channel station, so it will be received in all 50 states.
Wow.
I don't think you can get it over there, Andrew.
Hey, Bob, when is that? When are you guys going on live? What is that?
10 o'clock tonight.
10 o'clock. Okay.
Yep. So I'll have to get Jeff's mic working then. But I can tell you that the article in News City, which I will send you the link to because you can see it digitally, they do use a lot of Jeff's pictures of Lenny Bruce, Nelson Algren, Sissy Spacek, which is on the digital thing. I don't think you see. I don't know if Chris and Curtis have seen the digital one, but Chris and Curtis, you've seen the Sissy Spacek picture that he has.
Oh, that's a fantastic picture.
And they used it. He hung out with Sissy Spacek before Carrie was released for like a week in Texas.
Yeah,
and then Jeff went and saw the movie.
Yeah.
Which was probably a little freaky for Jeff.
Jeff has never seen the movie?
Not before he met Sissy Spacek before he saw the movie.
Oh, okay.
And he'll get mad at me, but I'll say it since he's not here. Jeff is a jazz guy. So like with Fleetwood Mac, when they called him, he didn't know who Fleetwood Mac was. So in the last month or so, and Curtis knows this, he called, we talk every day, but he's like, you ever heard of Debbie Harry?
Yeah.
Jeff has discovered Blondie 50 years later. But he also says, and I know he'll suggest that he went to the library and I guess he got Debbie Harry's biography, which he said is absolutely fantastic. And what a brilliant woman she really is. And
Wow.
the hard time she's gone through. So
one of these days, Jeff's going to have to go through our record collections and he will discover all sorts of things in pop music.
Yeah, I will say too that if anybody cares to, good, bad, or indifferent, please review us on Amazon. As Andrew can tell you, that just like with YouTube, that helps immensely. And since we're worldwide now, I don't think there's a country that Amazon serves that you can't get the book. We also did a Barnes & Noble book signing the other week, northern suburb of Chicago. And because of that, there's 3 other Barnes & Nobles that are interested in doing book signings with us. And the good news about that is, too, I don't know if you've read in the news, there's 25 or 30 new Barnes & Nobles going to open this year in the States.
Really? I thought brick and mortar was gone.
Exactly. That's good news, isn't it?
Yes.
Bookstores are opening.
And I'm sure you guys have all seen these posters, maybe not, of our show coming up. Look at this.
Did you have Jeff sign that, Curtis?
Yes, look at this. And I had Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff sign it.
Sign it. Legendary Lowenthal. He's got a stamp now.
Yeah, I wonder who got that for him.
I think you did, yeah. Look at this. It's got everyone, Chris, Curtis, Rob, Chris, Ricky, Dave Spector, Brother John, plus book signing. That's not us, but we're going to try and recreate that. Look at this. So anyway, we've got posters all over the place.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of press for the event as well as the book. Blues Matters is. Yes.
Bob, are you guys gonna? Did you say how are you gonna open the show with you guys talking or being interviewed, or what are you gonna do?
We're gonna read the Great Gatsby before you start playing. Dave wants a Q&A. So yes, we're gonna talk a little bit in the beginning for 10-15 minutes.
Well, we'll make sure that the mics actually work too.
Yeah, we'll make sure Jeff's mic's working.
Or wait a minute, maybe we'll have it not work. That'd be funny, and then cut it back in. This would be perfect.
We'll have a chalkboard behind us.
Yeah.
So we'll have a couple more book signings in the coming weeks here in the Chicago area. This is a one-off jam, so I will supply you. I do have permission from Marshall Chess, so Andrew, I will supply you the entire Marshall Chess interview. Watch, Chris is going to go nuts. So you can share it on your channel because
you'll love it. It's great.
It is great. And he talks about how when he got his first paycheck from Chess, like Curtis Meisner, he bought a Porsche.
Yeah, but that was after I got my first check from
Chess Studios.
So
you have to.
Anyway,
it's required.
What's that?
I said you have to when you're like 18. It's required, right? You have to go buy a Porsche.
That's
Anyway.
right. That's right. And before we went on the air too, Andrew, I think it was chemistry or something. I was listening to radio and Split Ends came on. Oh, we lost Andrew.
Are you on?
Andrew, I think you're muted, mate.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's catching.
Yeah.
Are you going to have any books available at the gig for people to purchase and get
Yes,
signed,
sir.
Bob? Or do they have to bring their own
No,
existing copies?
if you bring your own book, Jeff and I will sign it if you want us to, and we'll have a limited quantity of books there for sale too. Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. My mouse is doing strange things. It's it's presenting people and doing funny things with my mic button. But yeah, sorry about that. One other quick question I have for you guys for the gig. So how are the ticket sales going? Is that something you want to talk about?
Sure. Tell you that as of last week, we're about 60%, 65% full. And I looked this morning and it's about another 10. So I'll know more tomorrow, but capacity is about 150. And I think we're close to 100.
I
Fantastic. So
think
we'll
most of the-
include
most of the tables
links
are gone
on this
though, right?
show for people that are watching on a replay, if they want to, if they're local, if they want to travel interstate to go and see or get tickets to the gig. We'll include those, Bob and Curtis and Chris here on this stream for people. Because
Thank
how
you.
many days away is the gig from the
It's a
stream?
week from tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. So let's
And
make it a sellout.
Doors open at 6. We start at 7. Tickets are only, if you want a table, it's $25. At general admission, it's $10. So
That's wow.
Are there any tables left, or have we sold all those?
I think so. I think so. I didn't look today, but I think there's some tables left.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, as Chris can say, because Chris and I saw Dave Spector there, several weeks ago. Even if you don't have a table and you're on the side of chairs, you don't have an obstructed view.
Right.
It's a great little venue, great sound system, and they fixed the projector, so we'll be able to play the edited Mike Vernon interview for everybody
Nice.
there. And I can tell you that he's received his book.
Mike Vernon?
Mike Vernon received his book, and he'll be reviewing it. Blues Matters, I think in England, reviews it next month. The Living Blues out of California is reviewing it in March. So I think a lot of the stuff will start churning since it's now overseas, which is just, a week ago.
Yeah.
That's great. Fantastic.
Oh, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. I see Jeff again.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, a little bit.
Perfect. We're down to like
Audio.
what, 5 minutes left?
Don't move at all, because just stay exactly like you.
Don't change for anyone.
I've got Robert so trained. He has both the answers and the questions.
Hey, I want to ask Jeff a question. Jeff, are you going to take any photos at this event? Oh, we lost him again.
We just lost you again.
Dang it.
No, but I believe Mr. Herman's son is coming, who's a professional photographer.
That's right, Max.
See?
So we'll have.
A new generation.
Right.
Hey, there he is.
Oh yeah. Hey, I got to introduce you to Max. My son is a photographer.
By the way,
Great friend to
the
meet you.
WGN thing can't go wrong because we're doing that by telephone, which is pretty.
That's right.
You know, it's pretty well resolved how that all works at 78 years or where it is.
Is it a
That's right.
landline
So don't
or
have to worry
cordless?
about your mic because you'll be on your telephone.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
I'm using high quality equipment. You know, it's not crap, but or maybe.
Well,
it
gentlemen,
is.
you see what we go through every day, Jeff and I. Now, Jeff, I can tell you, Jeff's very excited for the event too. I try to talk him into bringing his trumpet so we can do some horns, some Chicago songs, but he's not having any of them.
Yeah, if anyone listening who hasn't met Jeff or Bob, and I just want to say, if you're at the show, you have got to introduce yourself. You got to meet these guys. I mean, Jeff is fascinating. I know sometimes his mic doesn't work, but he's a fascinating guy, and ask him anything about the history of jazz and, his sessions for when Newsweek would send him. He's just amazing. He remembers everything, details. So definitely introduce yourself, come up and see these guys and talk to Bob.
Jeff said he was the one who told Peter Green to put his toggle switch in the middle.
Yes, it was all Jeff's idea. He accidentally bumped him, and the toggle switch went into the middle.
I don't talk about it much. I had some long discussions with Peter. They were private, so I don't try to capitalize on it.
Can you get more of a nasally tone?
30 or 40 minutes, just about music and where he was going and that kind of thing. But it's just private. I'll take it to the grave with me, so to speak.
Jeff. Hey, by the way, Chris, do you have Mr. Lowenthal's pictures behind you? Chris?
I've got, I do have a picture. I have got a Peter Green picture in here somewhere, but I fear picking this computer up and moving it around.
Gotcha. No, he is the iconic one, but like I said, and before you were on, Brad, I'd say, well, Chris is a Peter Green fan, but more so a Kerwin fan, because I think Curtis would agree too. I think even though Peter's story is tragic, I think Danny's is even more so.
Yeah.
Chris and I have always thought that Danny Kerwin should have been a teenage heartthrob. I mean, he had such a gorgeous voice. And he wrote, to me, Danny Kerwin, not Lindsay, not Stevie, got Fleetwood Mac into pop music.
Yeah.
If you listen to Kiln House, sure. Station Man, You'll Die Judy, that's pop music.
Yeah. And there's elements of it on Them Play On as well. His contribution to that album is amazing. It's I just listened to it a couple of days ago again when I was on a bit of a trip.
That's my desert island disc.
Fantastic. It's an album that has so many different genres of music on it, and every time I listen to it, it's a remarkable statement. And isn't it interesting to realize or to think that this album was on the steps of something great or something huge? That two guitar assault, that was becoming prevalent. That Fleetwood Mac are responsible for. Allman Brothers took it off, didn't they, Brad? And, you know, a lot of other bands as well, you know, American bands, Aerosmith, all these bands that have two guitars, we can link back to that album.
100%.
And they really knew how to play off of each other too. I mean, that's one thing that Curtis, Chris, and I were talking about. Is one of the songs we wanted to do was "Like It This Way."
Sure.
But as Chris pointed out, that requires you really to be. You know, why don't you describe it, Chris? I mean,
it's one of those things where you should have been playing 4 7-night gigs for a few months to get the complete sync feel, you know, with the other player. So in such an ad hoc, you know, pop-up kind of performance that we're doing, I don't think we had the time to get settled in to do that song. It's really kind of a back and forth. It's one of the best ones like that, you know, with the guitars playing off each other. It's really a great song.
It's making leaves.
Sorry?
Oh, I think we could have done it easily. It's just we never tried. We never actually tried to run through it because you and I did stuff like that for years way back then. But you know, you can't do everything. That's the whole thing. You got to just pick and choose. And the idea wasn't to try and do 20 or 30 songs. It was just to...
I still think we should just do a half hour of Searching for Madge.
Well, that could be the first set. We'd have to cut it.
That's right.
Because the sets are about a half hour, I think, each of them, depending on how much talking and that sort of stuff. How long
it's at school night, so we should be out of the venue no later than 10, but more than likely 9:30, because we want to leave time at the end of the night so people can talk to Jeff, get their book signed if they want to, take photos or whatever they want to do. So, but we will have books there, and Andrew, and once the video and audio is edited, I'll reach out and we'll share it.
Fantastic. We can't wait to see it, obviously, and hear and be part of this gig that you guys are doing. So I just got a slight little technical question that I want to ask Curtis and Chris. Curtis, you were talking about taking your blues breaker, and now I've got a blues breaker, and I know how heavy that is and how loud that amp is, you know, for just being for a combo. And you know, Brad and I have mentioned and spoken about this before. In the past, these guys have just gone along with their gear and they've just turned it up to 10. We can't do that now because certainly with these intimate venues that you've got, and you want to make it at least a little bit tolerable. So. And you spoke a little bit earlier about some of the effects that you were using, and we weren't sort of concentrating too much on that because we had other things going on. Maybe you can explain that a little bit better. So you can take your blues breaker now. If you're going to have some overdrive amps, you don't have to have it as loud as you would normally do with an overdrive, so you can still get that crunch, which is really, really important, isn't it, Curtis? But it's going to be at a level where people are going to tolerate it.
Right. Absolutely. The cool thing about this blues breaker amp, you know, is it has the exact sag and stuff because it has an easy 34 rectifier tube, just like the original one, and KT66s. So even if you have this amp on maybe four or five, and you turn up your guitar, you're going to have that exact same sound.
Wow.
And it'll keep it all the way up. You could never turn the thing all the way up unless you were crazy or something. But it's just amazing how they've recreated, you know, doing it exactly, hand wired everything, and it'll have exactly that. It's got the tremolo circuit on there too, and it all kind of interacts. So it's definitely different from those Fender amps like what we were using last week and what we'll probably be using in tomorrow. Much more cleaner, but they don't have that kind of driving Marshall sound, especially with the Celestion T652 El Nicos too, and the original grill cloth. It's all part of the sound, And but I mean, when I'm practicing up here with this thing, I've got the amp on 1. It's dialed all the way down, and it sounds just the same. And then if I just add a little reverb or something with one of the effects or something, it's really incredible. But
So
we'll see how loud we have to be there. I don't know, since we've never played the venue.
well, how long are you going to give you guys sound check to get all that set up? You know, you obviously going to have some sound techs there. And Bob, you mentioned before that you're going to be. Oh, okay. Bob's the sound man, so you're going to be going through the board as well, and you'll be going through a PA. So, what do you reckon? A couple of hours to set up? Do you think?
Well, the sound check load-in is at 4, and then then we the doors open at 6, so we've got somehow between 4 and 6. So if we get there at 4 and start goofing around, and if we had an hour to run through some things, that'd be fine, but we'll see.
At the sound check, we'll do a couple different things. I mean, there's songs that the Blues Crusaders do without a keyboard.
Okay.
And then there's a couple 3 songs that we're doing with keyboard.
Okay.
So we'll, when you're doing sound for a band, you want to get a potpourri of every incarnation you're doing on stage. So we'll do a couple songs just with the Blues Crusaders and a song with keyboards, and then Dave will get his sound check on. So we'll probably have an hour or so.
And I saw somebody named Jonas asked about Danny's solo albums.
Oh yeah,
yeah, very cool stuff. I'm not sure I know. Were there 2 of them, Bob?
3.
3, okay. Because I remember some of them were really great.
Second chapter is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, second chapter. Really enjoyed that one.
Sorry, I think well, the first 2 solo albums are great. Midnight in San Juan and second chapter. The third one, he basically played acoustic guitar and sang, and he was pretty far gone then. But I also think, like on second chapter, which is just great music and some great guitar playing if you listen to it. I don't think the producer and his manager knew what to do with him. Because basically the band on that album is Savoy Brown.
Really?
Yeah, it's Paul Raymond, Andy Sylvester. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't think they knew what to do with Danny, because if you listen to like Ram Jam City, the guitar lick, kind of bare trees.
Right.
So yeah, I think they didn't know what to do with him, because those albums, and I think Chris would agree, his voice is just angelic.
Yeah.
What guitars was he playing then?
Well, like on Kiln House and stuff, like on Tell Me, which we said we're gonna do, and he plays a V, flying V.
Weird. I always think of him with a gold top.
Yep. Well, that was Peter's, and then on Bare Trees and Future Games, he played the guitar that he threw against the wall. Sorry, Brad. It was a 3 pickup custom.
The
black.
custom,
Right.
yeah, the black custom.
That's what I saw him play twice. Of course, the second time I saw him play, I'd say 40% of the time he was playing behind his Marshall.
Of course, I had a 3 pickup custom just like that, but I never threw it against the wall.
That's the magic part. You've got to throw it against the wall to get the magic.
Oh.
Never did that,
Yeah.
Gents,
and actually, going back to Danny's solo albums, Chris, mutual friend of all of ours is Paul Hamer. And when Paul met him in England, the last album is called Hello Big Boy, and his eyes are like bug-eyed. And Paul said that's how he looked. Like somebody was scaring him. And I had talked to Martin Selmans too recently too, and asked him, because apparently he was in contact with Danny throughout his life. And I asked him to share some things, and he's like, "You're better off not knowing." Really sad. I mean, it's kind of like what we talked about Curtis and Chris with Alan Holdsworth.
Right. They had to do a GoFundMe to pay for his funeral expenses or whatever.
Right.
God help me.
Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah. I mean, Kerwin, lived in a hostel. He died homeless, and Alan Holdsworth's family had a GoFundMe page to help pay for his funeral. He was penniless.
Wow.
which is crazy. Jeff's got his headphones off. Can you hear us, Jeff? Nope.
Hey, Bob, I think it's time we should go through the whole set list. What do you say?
I can hear you.
No, I'm
can
kidding. I'm
hear
kidding. No.
you.
We got Jeff. Brad,
Jeff.
I got a question for Brad.
Oh,
What kind of do you play all original tunes in your band, or what's it all about?
Well, obviously, my dream is to be successful as a original artist, but professionally, I have to make money as well, and part of my income is playing music. So I play covers. So at the moment, I'm playing in a like an 80s cover band. We do everything from Van Halen to Guns N' Roses to Madonna to Michael Jackson.
Wow.
We do everything.
I noticed the top hat in your.
Yeah. Well, see, that's me being. It started off me being a bit lazy actually, because I also play in a Guns N' Roses tribute band. So rather than have a second costume, I thought I'd just wear the Flash outfit in the 80s band, because it saves a little bit of coin, can put it towards guitars. But no, I just thought that the Slash being in the late 80s, I thought, well, that suits the 80s band as well. So, but my original music is something that's my passion. So at some point this year, I'll be releasing a second EP. I've been part of other bands and stuff like that have released albums, but I'll be releasing my second solo EP sometime this year, hopefully. So,
Oh, awesome! Keep
Hey,
it posted.
Chris, if you haven't seen Brad, you should either YouTube or Google find. He's got some number of videos up on his page or site, and he's really a good player. So you should check it out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out.
I've got a question for you guys about the gig coming up, though. Are you guys going to do any live stream for, even if it's like one song or two songs, just to, appease people like myself and Andrew? I know that we're going to be sort of sitting back going, damn it, wish we could see what's on here.
You know what?
It's up to
There's
Bob.
nothing wrong if somebody wants to live stream off their phone or something. I'll probably be a little too busy managing the stage and things like that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you there will be video for later. So if somebody wants to live stream it, have at it.
Yeah. I just thought maybe like a sneaky little 1 or 2 song live stream might be good.
Might be able to do that.
Yeah.
Might be able to do that.
We can have Jeff do it.
Yeah, Jeff. We won't have audio though.
Well, there is that.
How would you like it with you?
What?
That would be neat. And you could hear me.
He's cutting out. Oh well.
11.
I don't know if Jeff can hear me well enough or not, but I've
Oh, there it is. Yes.
Oh, very cool.
got it framed.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Nice frame.
It's a nice frame, yeah.
It's amazing how many people just think that is the most iconic picture of Peter Green.
Yeah, I love it.
And Jeff, I don't know if we can hear you, but I think you were about 4 or 5 feet away from Peter at that point.
That was when Jeff was telling him about putting it in the middle.
I
So
think closer than that. I think I took that with a 21, which is a very wide angle.
A wide angle lens.
We were having a long discussion. I just took the one picture. We talked for about 10 or 15 minutes about private things,
Guitar tones, amps.
Hey, Tony.
It
Good to see you,
was
brother.
it was Jeff's idea to reverse the pickup. Let's face it.
I don't. They had K26 out tubes. We talked
Oh, I lost you.
Oh well.
about that.
We're doing that song.
Yes, we are.
Couldn't hear that.
Your audio is very spotty, Jeff.
And
So, Brad,
technical.
we'll try to give a little live stream or snippet on
your audio is
YouTube or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'll appease her.
Maybe Curtis can hook up his Android phone to the stock of his guitar.
Me?
Yeah. You're Curtis.
But I don't have an Android. Apple.
Oh, you have an Apple?
Yeah.
You can't play with us.
All right.
Although Samsung makes 38% of the iPhone, just FYI. That's who
Chris,
I work for, by the way.
Chris, you're doing kind of an outer limits thing.
Yeah, I know. A galaxy creature.
Yes.
Wow,
Which
floating
is great.
head.
You're doing it perfectly. That's nice. One of my favorite episodes.
It is. It's the first episode with Cliff Robertson. I love that one.
We're going to bring in all the outer limits fans now.
Yeah, right.
Didn't Bernard Herrmann do the Twilight Zone theme?
No
No?
way.
No, I don't think the Twilight Zone. He did a lot of shows, but not that.
No relation to Chris Herrmann. Well, so you go, Brad. Amy's going to do a live stream.
Oh, wonderful.
Uh-oh.
Oh, cool.
Somebody better monitor that.
That means Amy's got to join ASCAP.
That means she'll do it the whole night.
Yep.
I think everyone in this day and age understand that live streams never sound fantastic just because of the audio is what it is. But it's
Right.
it's just exciting to see it. That's all.
Right.
Yeah, and the issue that we have on Facebook too, guys, is Facebook are notorious for blocking a lot of the live footage. If
right.
if it, yeah,
Really?
yes, yeah, that they are. So what I might do is I might have a chat to Amy, and maybe if she wants to share it, she might be able to share it here on the channel for a little bit too, maybe, because YouTube, they tend to play a lot.
That's a good point, because you had some audio blocked on your Christmas show and stuff, right?
Yeah. That was from Kiss, from the record company that owns Kiss. So yeah, that was interesting. But YouTube are a little bit more flexible. They'll claim any copyright, but allow you to play the video. But Facebook, they'll just ban you completely from playing any copyrighted songs. If that makes any sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Even if you do like a Facebook Live, they'll just block it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Instagram don't block a lot either. Brad's an Instagrammer, but they'll claim the copyright. So it depends what relationship they have with what social media giant as to who collects the 3 cents or the 2 cents from the video that's been played.
Huh.
That's how it works, Curtis. Who's going to get the 3 cents?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, you know, speaking of that, you wonder who gets the royalties for Peter Green or Danny Kerwin songs anymore.
The record
Yeah.
companies.
Probably.
Jonas, we are in touch with Martin. Martin has a permanent invitation to come on the channel. We just need to encourage him to come on and talk about his reprint.
He helped. He's a great guy, and he helped immensely in our book. He contributed to our book.
Oh, that's good.
It's great. His biography of Peter Green. If you haven't read it, it's been reissued. It's fascinating. It's good stuff. So, Jeff, Mr. Lowenthal.
Jeff's here.
He's not there.
Hey, tomorrow, Bob, this is going to be fun, and Chris, exciting because we get to play with a keyboard player too, because we've been doing rehearsals and with just guitars and everything.
One good thing at
we've
Space,
never played any.
they have all that equipment, Brad and Andrew, and one of the things they have there is a Hammond B3
At
No.
Space.
at
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah. God forbid anyone should ever try to lift one of those things.
Hey, whoever's going to lift that can lift my amp too.
Yeah. I've got a Marshall plate.
Employ that person. They're obviously good lifters.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When Chris and I were there, we noticed there's forklift things on each side of the ham.
Yeah, really. It's all set up. Yeah.
Right. So it's how it's set up. So we will probably have a Hammond B3 in a song or two, which is a sucker for that.
Well, I was just going to say that it's great to have the keyboard player because Brother John, he's a great keyboard player and he's really a good singer too. I've seen a lot of videos and things he's done with Dave Spector, and so it really adds a lot more credibility because these are professional touring musicians. Pretty much, they're playing all the time.
Yep, Dave's playing tonight.
It's more of a challenge for Chris and I, to put this together because we haven't been doing this in a while. But yeah, even Ricky Lantones, he plays like 100 shows a year. He's always out playing. So and so is the drummer, young Chris. So this is going to be fun. It's really going to.
Yeah, I have to talk about our drummer. He was my next door neighbor. He's a young kid, and he played with Hedgehog and the Fox with the progressive band that Chris and I worked with. But he's a high school drum teacher, teaches drum line. He'll play with the symphony. He'll play with a speed metal band, songs that are 2 minutes in length. Then he'll play with us. He's just an amazing drummer.
Wow.
Matter of fact, the first time Dave Spector saw him, I was in the hall talking to Dave Spector about the gig. And he said, "Where do you find the drummer?" I said, "He was my next door neighbor." So he is quite, I think, and Curtis has just met him. I think Curtis would agree. He's quite amazing.
Yeah, no, he's really good. And so I've got this all charted out for tomorrow. So I hope he's ready for this song, which I can't tell you what song it is.
Bob, is Dave Spector related to the famous Phil Spector in any way?
No.
Okay.
No.
But
that would be frightening, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right.
Good job, yeah.
He gets some of the greatest guitar sounds. He's really a real blues player, and like Bob was saying, he's a recording artist for over 30 years, and he's played with everybody, and he's just he's phenomenal. So it's really an honor to have those guys jump in and do this with us. I'm really happy about it. It's fantastic.
Well, yeah, it has to be said, doesn't it, guys? And all credit to you to continue and keep that flag flying of that wonderful period in rock history that people are still fascinated with 50 years later. Bob and Curtis and Chris,
I think it's getting. I mean, the book is getting unbelievable attention. I'm just thrilled with it. Like I said, I think we have 11 or 12 reviews now on Amazon, all 5 stars. So please review it, even if you didn't buy it there. Unfortunately, buying books, you almost have to go through Amazon or Schiffer or Barnes & Noble or Global. You almost have to go through Amazon. It's unfortunately what you have to do. Yeah, the book is getting a lot of press, and I think Jeff and I are very, very surprised. And Jeff's finally getting his just desserts too. So kudos to Mr. Lowenthal.
Well,
yeah.
Well, thank you,
Well-deserved.
Bob, for instigating that and getting that going. I don't want to get philosophical here, but some famous dude said a couple of thousand years ago, a couple of hundred years ago, I don't know when, but that 1,000-mile journey begins with one step. You got to take that one step. So.
Well, it wasn't easy to talk Jeff into it. Let me tell you, he's a tough customer.
Sure.
Because the answer of doing a book, I guess going on 2 years ago was no.
Well, you should have turned off his mic and just gone ahead and done it.
So I'll say it, and I say it in the book, but I'm just humbled to be part of it. It's 2 of my favorite guitarists in the world that I've loved, ever since I've known Chris Herman.
So I want to ask another question. I can't pronounce his name. His name is Christopher. I'm going to spell it Hjort, and he's famous in our circles. He came out with this book here, Strange Brew. It's about the British electric blues scene. Now, I understand, Bob, he's working on a new biography on Peter Green and Fleetwood Mac. Has he been in touch with you guys at all?
No, I wasn't aware of that book. That's cool.
Okay, I'll send you a link to him, to his Facebook stuff, so that you can touch base with him and connect with him, because...
Thank you.
Yeah. I just think that you guys you should be doing something when you consider how important and what you've done in this book, and the people that you've spoken to in your book needs to be recognised as well. So,
100%.
Yeah, one thing that I've gotten from review is that people were very happy the fact that Walter Trout and I talked a lot about Danny Kerwin.
sure.
So that was well received, because, like I said in the beginning, I think Danny's story is equally, if not more, tragic than Peter's. And I mean, to me, I don't know about you, Brad, but Danny has the best vibrato, I think, in the world.
Well,
Yes.
I'm going to jump in there and just take it one step further and say that those English guys at that period of time, certainly Danny, Peters, Jimmy Page's, Paul Kossoff, there was just something about what these guys were doing with a guitar, and Curtis will agree, just an amp. That's basically what these guys were using for a long, long time. There's just something magical in what they were doing. It's mind-blowing.
Well, Chris, you think, what is it? Stepping Out is the pièce de résistance of Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
The Stepping Out on Live Cream Volume 2 is like a dictionary of all Clapton's riffs, including his little ticks and idiosyncratic things. It's like a complete dictionary. If you want to go to school on Eric Clapton, that's the recording. Don't you agree, Curtis?
Oh, absolutely. The first time I heard that, and I think the live version of Stepping Out on Live Cream Volume 2 is it's an entire side of the album, maybe. I don't know. But
Almost.
It's pretty much it's every blues lick you'd ever want to learn in one song. Every technique, a vibrato, everything, attack. It's just
one of his techniques that I've never been able to master yet, and Paul Hamer told me a little bit about this. He hits a stationary note with a big vibrato, bigger than you would think you could get on a stationary note, and then he comes up to that note, so it's da da, which that's fantastic. And I've not been able to master that, but it requires that you have a very strong stationary vibrato to begin with, aside from just the bending up one. But that is one of my favorite tricks of his.
Yeah. Well, and I think Andrew, I think you're right. It's, the British guys, they were all schooled in the early blues. They were, Elmore James fans and all. They went back and they were trying to emulate that, and they kind of went in their own direction and took it to different lengths and put their own spin on it. But they
brought the blues back here.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. I mean, as Buddy Guy says in my interview too, if it wasn't for the British blues guys, the blues kind of would have been dead in America.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And that's coming from a guy himself. And it's interesting that you should say that, because again, I want to share something with you guys. A few years ago, I remember reading somewhere a quote similar to that, and it was on one of the big Eric Clapton Facebook groups, and someone put that in there and said that basically, if it wasn't for these British guys, blues in America would have gone down the lounge, would have been just a lounge act. And again, no disrespect to our American panelists and the American viewers, a few Americans in this group got really upset with that and said, no, the blues would have continued the way that it was currently playing. And then other people backed it up by using some of these famous black musicians by saying, well, actually, no. The guys that started it are saying, actually, these British guys saved it. So,
exactly, yeah.
Thank you, Bob, for pointing that out.
Yeah, and it's kind of gone the other way around now. It's one of the reasons we didn't have our jam at Chess is because of the political climate of the blues community now. It's kind of turned itself around again. Because a lot of the British guys have gotten the money and gotten the audience, and the other guys don't. So it's kind of flipped itself from the 60s and 70s.
And to add to what you were just saying about what we wanted, it's so great that we can do this show finally, because this is what we wanted to do at Chess. This was the whole idea.
Right.
Do something like this. And now
let's not go too deep into that, Curtis.
No, I'm just saying now we finally get to do that, but we do it even at a better venue, which is fantastic.
Right.
So this is going to be great.
Right. Plus, it would have been great in his band,
it would have been great to do it in the studio upstairs, but this is going to be a lot different, and we'll have a lot more free reign of what we can play, and it's a real concert instead of just being able to play 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah.
But by the way, a side note, we thought about a long time ago when we first started the idea of putting this together, what kind of songs were we going to do. And Chris and I talked about we could do Stepping Out, but we decided not to in the end. But the other day I was playing, Chris, you guys don't listen to this. We were with this amp back here when I decided to pull it out, and I cranked it up. And when I got this guitar from Pete, played it, and I played Stepping Out. This is freaking ridiculous. I mean, it's the real thing. It sounds like that. I can tell that's what Eric did. He turned up that amp and put it in a room and played the Les Paul. I was like, oh my God, that's exactly the sound. It's ridiculous.
What a thrill. That must be great.
We won't be doing that.
But whenever you ever forget
one
about
of these days, you'll have to come over and try that. But
yeah, definitely.
If I still have the guitar, anyway.
You're going to have Chris drive to your house. He'll never get there.
That's true. That's true.
Curtis lives out in the fields, and the other thing that I think I've told you this before, Andrew. Curtis has won awards for Border Collie agility.
Sure. Yeah, I follow Curtis on Facebook, and I see his posts, and yeah, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm a dog fan. Everyone should have a dog.
Right. Well, Chris comes over and plays with ours.
Yeah.
Well, Bob said I have to bring my dog to the show now. He has to be on stage because there's a picture of Peter Green with his Border Collie.
Right.
Sure.
And we can put hoops up for rain, and he can just go through tunnels the whole night.
Right. He could just hang out up on stage, I guess. I don't know.
Well, you might want to give Brander a couple, because I think they have a sheep problem where he is.
They have a sheep problem?
Yeah. Unfortunately, farming's become a political issue, and we can't go down that track on this
let's
show.
Not go down that rabbit hole.
No. I just want to back up a point that you guys said about live cream. We've been fortunate, Brad and I, to have on our channel a guy called Alan Garber, who is a Fleetwood Mac, Eric Clapton Nut 2 guys. And he's transcribed what we think is probably the most accurate version of Eddie Van Halen's Eruption that got published in Guitar World last year or the year before. And he's studied Clapton, and I'll put a link to his channel if anyone is interested. And he analyzes Spoonful and Sitting on Top of the World, especially the last solo on Sitting on Top of the World. And he picks it
the live
pieces.
One?
Yes, the live version. Yes,
okay.
And how important that lick was to Eddie Van Halen, because Eddie Van Halen basically plays that lick on dozens and dozens of songs and dozens of solos. It's almost embedded in his DNA. Eddie Van Halen can't escape it.
Yep. No, he was great. I mean, really, before he lost interest in guitar, when he was still in Cream, there was no more expressive player than Eric Clapton. He really was quite. I know, Bob, you'll disagree, but some of the stuff that he did on the studio side of Wheels of Fire was also incredibly good, like
Sure.
sitting on top of the world. That's why I asked whether it was the live or the studio one.
Well,
Yeah.
and some of my favorite is on I think it's some of those tracks and maybe on Goodbye Cream where he's playing Firebird 1.
Yeah.
And you can tell, and he rolls off the tone a bit, and it's
Yes.
really cool. It's not an overdriven sound, but it just
Yes.
lends to really expressive playing. It's in fact that, and one of the guitars that I think you used to have, one of the guitars I designed at Hamer was the Hamer Eclipse, and I had the small. Seymour Duncan made a recreation of that small Firebird pickup, and I had that designed in the guitar so that it was so that I could recreate those exact sounds. So, and no one really knew that. I never really said anything about the whole thing when that guitar came out. It was really purely my idea so that I could get those sounds. But we didn't tell anybody. That was just, here's this new model and it's really interesting. And some people say, why do you have these, the smaller Firebird type pickup? Oh, we just thought it'd be good. But then I'd be in the setup booth and playing exactly those sounds off of.
But you know what else about the Eclipse is it made a brilliant 12 string.
Yes, it did. Yep.
The tone on that thing was, I had one. It was just fantastic. So good.
There's a friend, I have a friend here who's actually playing tonight at a club, and he has a Hamer 12 string Eclipse that he uses. A friend of mine, Dave Steffen, I don't know if you guys ever met him, but he's a great guitar player who's played in the Chicago area for years. And he has one of those. And I'm disappointed that I never ended up buying one. I was in on creating that guitar to get a certain sound that I wanted to get, but I never actually bought one of the guitars. I figured I can play them every day at work. So,
the guitar that Chris Herman had when we were in bands together was it a 54 or 56 full top?
I think it was a 54, but it had been re-necked. So it was
because when I rekindled our relationship, Chris and I, moved, stuff like that. So, but we found each other at an Adrian Belew concert, I don't know, about 10 years ago or something. I asked him, so you still have your gold top? And he put his head to the table and said, it turned into pizza money.
Yeah, I sold it to some guy and he would pay me like $20, every time he saw me. So it literally turned into pizza. Sad to say.
So that's the guitar that Chris used to have when I played. Plus, you had a white custom, right?
Yeah, that was the first really good guitar I had. It was like a Rosetta Tharp, Les Paul custom from '61 or something. White with 3 big ingots of gold and all the really cool giant pearl block inlays.
double cutaway, 3 pickup.
Yeah. It's
nice.
a cool guitar. I really liked it. It always made me nervous though. The join of the neck and the body, it seemed a little like flimsy, and I just didn't. I like having something to push against. That's why the Les Paul with the sort of a more massive body is kind of better for that purpose.
Fantastic.
Andrew's got a Les Paul back there.
No, it's
Andrew.
It's
I see a Gretsch. Where's the Les Paul?
No, the Les Paul's in the shop getting
Okay.
the neck shaved. It's a traditional neck, and I'm getting it shaved to a super slim 60s neck. So I'll present that on the show.
All right.
Yeah, I've finally pulled up enough courage to get it done. Yeah. I just need to do it. But thank you for mentioning the Firebird. I'm just going to do a bit of a push here for the channel. If you go and have a look at our communities page, a couple of days ago, we posted on here on our communities page some new photographs that were released of Cream back in '68. And there's a lot of pics of Clapton playing that Firebird that Curtis and Chris were fondly talking about a couple of minutes ago. Some great pics.
Oh, cool.
Another thing that people don't realize is there are a number of tracks that we won't go into right now that Clapton did where he used the wah pedal and he just clicked it on and left it in a position to get that boost. And it gives it a really incredible sound. And it sounds like it's just the guitar cut down, but it's actually the wah pedal. You know, he's got a really nice old Vox 846 for Clyde McCoy, and which is what I have. And boy, you can just do that exactly. Again, when I was playing around with this Les Paul through that amp, and you can get there it is, and you just back that wah pedal off, just that with the boost on that thing, and it's like, wow, that's it. That's exactly what he was doing. So
hey, can I just interrupt, guys?
Yep.
Jonas has got a really, really interesting question in the chat, and we've discussed this celebration gig on our channel here a couple of times. But what's really interesting about that comment, and I'm going to be really nice when I talk about this, but it's there were a couple of posts on our Facebook group. They're all about Peter Greens Fleetwood Mac Facebook group, where people have dished this celebration, and for the life of me, I can't understand why someone who pretends to, and I'm saying pretends to be a Fleetwood Mac nut, a Peter Green nut, would diss this gig. I can't understand it.
No, I really like some of the things on there, and I like some what Johnny Lang was doing, and some of it was well rehearsed, and I think it was very professional and well done. So
it's well recorded. I mean, Glenn Johns produced it. No, it's disappointing that John McVie didn't show up, I guess. But I mean, when Jeremy Spencer came on, oh my goodness, I mean, it was great. And quite frankly, I'm not a Oasis fan, but I was blown away by Noel Gallagher.
Yeah, I think there's something for everybody on there. On that,
yeah.
You don't have to like all of it, but there's something for everybody. I'm not sure what what's his name was doing on vocals, but that's okay. We won't talk.
Mick Fleetwood did it for himself.
The only negative I'd say is Steven Tyler.
Right, that's all I was going to say.
You know, Mick Fleetwood did it for himself while he was, I'm going to say this respectfully, still alive. And all credit to Mick Fleetwood. Right through the whole career of Fleetwood Mac, after Peter Green left, he always took the time to acknowledge where Fleetwood Mac came from. Always spoke about Peter Green right through the whole history. And it's easy for you to go and do that. He just hasn't jumped on the bandwagon the last 5 or 10 years. Right from the word go. He always, didn't he, Bob? He mentioned Peter Green. In his biography, he devotes a whole chapter to Peter Green.
Yeah, anytime he talks about the band, I mean, he dedicates his book to Peter Green, Love That Burns, that big Genesis book. I mean, that Jeff gave, I don't know, a dozen pictures or so to. Yeah, I mean, the reason Mick Fleetwood got the gig is because he had broken up with his girlfriend, and Peter Green thought he could keep him busy.
I think the problem with social media these days, Brad, I think the problem with it is that people nitpick the mechanics of things too much these days. They've got the time to sit there and overanalyze things, and they don't understand, Jeff, Curtis and Chris, the spirit behind a project, that used to be so important. It was the motivation of why Woodstock was organized, the whole hippie mentality that was the driving force, and obviously cashing in and making some money, because rock and roll is about making money, but it was that whole program that used to be important. Now people don't take that into account anymore.
Yeah, I think unfortunately with social media, everyone seems to think that they need to voice their opinion. And opinions are like bum holes. Everyone's got one, but not everyone wants to look at them. So I just think sometimes, if you don't like something on social media, just move on. That's what I always think.
Scroll past it, right?
There's no need to put your negative spin on things. I stay off social media a lot of the time now because for me, I find there's a lot of negativity within even positive things. There'll be negative spins on it, and I'm like, I'm done with this, because I think that energy is just something that we don't need. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well said. And Christy McVie is on here as well. You know, the first
yeah.
lady of British blues. You know, she's on. So, yeah. Everyone-
It's good stuff. I mean, it's kind of sad that John McVie wouldn't, but then again, when Christine McVie died, I mean, no disregard to John McVie, but I've never seen anything that he's ever said about his ex-wife passing away.
Well, you know.
Oh,
I'm
one
sure
thing I
he's
want to
devast-
say though, the last Savoy Brown album is coming out in a couple. Actually, it comes out on my birthday.
Fantastic.
The last album that Kim Simmons recorded with the band comes out on February 17th.
When was it recorded?
It was recorded last year.
Last year. Wow.
Yep.
Curtis, remember Blue Matter? That was an early Savoy Brown.
It was early what?
Early Savoy Brown album, Blue Matter.
Okay. And what about it?
I was interested that Dave Spector hadn't heard. I'm going to buy that for him as a present. It's such a fantastic blues record. I can still remember some of the licks, from that album. I think Paul Hamer introduced me to it. Such a great record. Too bad we lost Kim Simmons. He died just recently, like a month ago or something. Bob?
Yeah, a couple months ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of famous people in my life, and he was just a great guy, just a really down home, nice person. Yeah, somebody just spoke about the Greenie guitar. We can talk about that. I just sent my son. You might appreciate this, Brad. You know who bought one of those Murphy Peter Greens guitars for $50,000? Adam Jones from Tool.
Oh, wow.
Which is like, really? What?
Wow.
So there's two schools of thought. Curtis and I've talked about this. I mean, I'm not a Kurt Hammett fan, but on the other hand, it's good that the guitar is being played and not hung up on a wall somewhere.
Right.
Right. That's great. All you have to do is just kind of cover your ears when he plays, and it's all good.
Yeah. And Curtis and Chris and I can tell you that Dave Spector went to this place called Chicago Music Exchange, and they had two of those Murphy Peter Greens guitars.
Oh my
Guess
God.
what they're selling it for?
Well, they sold one, and they still had one of the other.
One left. Yeah.
Yeah.
$85,000.
Yeah.
So
So,
more
At
than
that point, you're selling guitars to dentists, not to guitarists.
yeah. So somebody
somebody
able to
sold
buy
it to
one
the
at-
guitar shop because they weren't available to guitar shops, correct? They were only available to individuals. So
Well,
somebody must.
that was
Go ahead, Kurt.
that's what they said. But
Okay.
that individuals who own guitar shops and who are well connected, so almost anyone who had the money could call up somebody who knew someone. You could get on the list, and that's it. And so they did it, and of course, then they turn it right around and try and sell something for $85,000 when they paid $50,000. So that's the way it is.
Yep, it's capitalism, brother.
There's always a way to get one of the guitars or one of the amps or whatever if you know someone who's part of the deal, even though they say that's what we're trying to avoid. I certainly know that from my years of working for the companies I did, that there was always a way to get something. That's how I got that Blues Breaker. So let's be honest. Because I was in charge of who was getting them. I decided I was going to get one.
Well, Andrew, I can tell you that Chris has got a guitar in order. I think it's been 2 years, Chris?
3.
3?
Yeah, Curtis, this is a guy, Shishkov, who used
Mike
to work
Shishkov.
for Hamer.
I worked with
Mike
him at Hamer.
Shishkov.
Yeah.
And by the way, Andrew, and for the greater audience, Yuri Shishkov, it works for the Fender Custom Shop. And he's one of the guys who, will sign the certificate and, makes these fantastic Stratocasters and everything. But his brother, Mike Shishkoff, worked for Hamer. And now after Hamer closed, he went off on his own and he's making really cool guitars. Curtis, I don't know did you get one or do you have one on order?
No, I never did.
Yeah, I have one on order, but it's been a while. It's gonna be super cool though.
Do you want me to call him up and tell him to hurry it along, or?
No, I want it to take as long as it takes. You know? Do not rush.
Yeah, the show. I mean, and I'll publicly thank Chris and Curtis and Rob, Chris's brothers playing bass. Oddly enough, Rob Herman, Chris's brothers, born 4 years to the day of each other.
Wow.
And Chris Avgerin too. And thank Dave Spector and Brother John and Space for letting us do this. It's going to be great.
Yeah, those guys I think they're playing tonight at clubs.
Yeah, they are. It's a Del Mar anniversary.
So they better make rehearsal tomorrow at noon, okay? They better have lots of coffee, no goofing around.
I told them 12:30 so we can practice that one song before they get there.
All right. What song? The song that's in E?
The song that you're playing lead on.
The song that's in oh yeah.
And actually, come to think of it, I'm airing dirty laundry with you guys. I was thinking, maybe I should have had Brother John come right away because I kind of like organ on that song.
I don't know. Well, it is what it is, but I would have just had him show up at noon. Who cares?
I didn't want them sitting around while we're rehearsing a song they're not on.
Yeah, but then we have to sit around at 12:30 and wait and talk until they get all organized. So,
hopefully they're going to the right door since we gave them the wrong address.
Yeah.
We're in a stage that the place we play has got multiple rooms, and the room we're renting for tomorrow is basically a stage.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a dress rehearsal.
Sure.
Seating for 5,000. It's
yeah. And there is we have one rule when Chris and I play out. We always have one rule: no Mustang Sally. Right, Chris?
Yeah, that's the rule of all jams.
Do we have audio, Jeff? No. Jeff's technically.
Well, he's been able to save his voice for tonight.
That's true. We'll be on at 10 on WGN radio streaming, or even on an AM radio because it's a clear channel.
Fantastic. Bob, if you could do me a favor after the show, if you can send me that link so I can attach that, if you do have it, to this video for people if they come back and watch this after we end the stream, that would be great. I'll certainly.
And Andrew, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you, to Chris Herman's point, I'm going to send you via WeTransfer your email address.
Sure.
Entire Marshall Chess interview.
Okay.
Oh, you'll love it.
No, I appreciate that.
The gas.
It's like watching a Monty Python half-hour show.
We've had some fun here, ladies and gentlemen, on the channel. We've been streaming live for an hour and 47 minutes. It's always a pleasure catching up with Curtis,
there goes Curtis.
Jeff Leventhal, Bob, and Chris. It's a pleasure and nice to meet you. And we do look forward to doing some more shows with you later on, maybe when you guys have finished the gig and you guys want to come back and share your experiences of the gig. Obviously, we'll be more than happy to spend a couple of hours reviewing the show, Bob. So
thank you.
Keep that up your sleeve. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we'll attach all the links, including where you can buy this wonderful book that Jeff and Bob have given us. It's fantastic. The photographs are just epic. And more than that, though, the interviews, Bob, that you've conducted with people and the way that they talk about this band and that special time during history. It's a wonderful record. And we're associated through friendship, through Bob and Jeff on the channel, and we're just happy to be part of that wonderful legacy that you've given us.
And vice versa, Andrew. I mean, when we started talking, you and I think you had less than 600,
Sure.
and we've all grown together. And I can't thank you and Brad and Simon enough. You're true gentlemen. Thank you. You too, Brad. Even though you haven't friended me on Facebook yet.
Oh, really? This is the problem, Bob. I don't really go on Facebook that often,
Yeah.
and Andrew will vouch for me with that.
Yeah, yeah.
He did.
Yeah,
He did.
I was going to
He
stick
stood
up from
He
there.
stood straight up for you, Brad. He did.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
I will double check that. I honestly, it's not intentional in one bit, shape or form.
I thought it's just because I had a crush on Tal Wickenfield.
No.
Oh, by the way, Chris and I saw it in a very small club. She was fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, she's like 5'2".
Yeah,
she's a wee little thing.
Yeah, she's just. I mean, to me, that's a musical genius. When we saw her, I mean, Chris, I think you'd agree, she was a perfectionist.
Yeah, and it's interesting also that usually probably she's got a bunch of people backstage handing her guitars and tuning them and everything. She would stand there and like tune her guitar for like the kind of thing, Brad, that you never do on stage. That you just occupy that dead air kind of thing. She's
Constantly.
No roadies,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But Andrew, I can't thank you enough, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
It's always a pleasure, and Bob, if you have any other projects, I mean this sincerely, that you want to promote on our channel. Our channel's a collective, and the same thing with you, Curtis and Chris. If there's anything that you guys want to do that you have that's separate from Peter Green and Fleetwood Mac, Brad and I, and the Rock Professor will be more than happy enough to do anything that you guys have in the future. So please remember that and keep that open invitation in the back of your mind.
Thanks very much. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can get legendary Loventhal back on here for the final goodbye.
I believe.
Well, get your finger away, Jeff.
That's the direction.
We're saying goodbye, Jeff.
Is Jeff coming to rehearsal tomorrow?
No.
He's your sound man.
No. Brilliant.
Good one.
That's a good
He's
one,
a-
Andrew.
You'll be
He's your
signing
sound tech,
books
bro.
alone.
You just won the internet with that one. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Okay.
It's been fun.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll
Nice
see you
meeting you,
guys
Andrew and Brad.
No problem.
Take care, Brad.
Bob, I'm going to give you the last word, bro, and then we're going to cruise. And before we do that, though, everybody in the chat, thank you. I'm not going to go through and name you all. You guys are always fantastic. Please share this link in our channel on your social media links, please. And if you're watching a replay and you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. Go and see our friends on our community pages and go and subscribe to all their channels. We really appreciate your support and thank you for watching us. Bob.
Thank you. February 12th, Space Evanston. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Please review the book on Amazon. If you bought it anywhere else, whatever, please, reviews help us. February 12th, Space Evanston, Blues Crusaders with Dave Spector and Brother John, playing Danny Kerwin
Yes, I'll see you tomorrow.
and Peter Green songs. And I'll see Curtis, Chris, and young Chris and Rob and everybody tomorrow. Jeff, I'll
Okay.
talk to you in a couple minutes.
Don't go anywhere, guys, on the
Okay.
on the stream. I'll play the exit video, but don't go anywhere, please.